So during this week, we brought together a lot of experts who will be presenting funding opportunities from Horizon Europe, which is the largest funding program in Europe with over 90 billion euros of funding allocated over the next 7 years, 2021 to 2027. And we will also be covering the Erasmus program, the COST program, as well as national funds. The event will also feature 3 panel discussions with previous grantees and evaluators so that they can share their experiences with you, and you will have the opportunity to ask questions and be involved in the interactive discussion. We also welcome our people who have joined us virtually as well on Zoom, and we look forward to having a fruitful event together. So the event will start with Minister Owen Bonici, who will be introducing and opening the event. Thank you.
Professor Zamit, Professor Baldacchino, friends and colleagues, good morning. It is my pleasure to welcome you and open this Grants Week. Our competitiveness as a nation in today's economy and global market depends highly on our researchers' capabilities to advance, particularly in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Research in the STEM areas is advancing at an incredibly rapid rate globally, and unless we allow and encourage our researchers and academics to work, we will lose relevance in this highly competitive world. The aim of research work is not always easy to understand. The outcomes can be rarely predicted, and we all know that the process is hardly ever smooth and uncomplicated. And yet, some of the best brains in the world dedicate their whole lives to research, sacrifices, and all. The least we can do is support our researchers and encourage them. But we also need to put our money where our mouth is and invest in our future. We often hear all great achievements start with the first step, with an idea, a dream, or a problem which requires a solution. Back in 1905, when Albert Einstein published his theory of special relativity, I really don't think he was aiming at developing an app for our cars and mobile phones. And yet, thanks to the unique human ability to build upon previous knowledge, one scientist after another, one research project after another, here we are, over a century later, making use of the global positioning system on a daily basis. Most of us take it for granted and spare no thought to the research and the science behind it. Just like Albert Einstein and those who lived around his time had no way of imagining where his theories and formulas would end up, we have no way of imagining how today's research will shape and transform our lives and the lives of future generations. History has taught us, time and time again, that research pays. It transforms lives, it saves lives, it regenerates economies, and makes our daily lives better. Since starting my work in this ministry last November, I've had the honor of meeting some of our most outstanding researchers and academics. And needless to say, I've learned a lot. These people are so focused on their work behind the scenes that most of us had no idea of the promising research projects going on around this island: cancer research, aerospace technology, research in microbiology, in information technology, environmental sustainability. The list is endless. The setting up of this ministry is in itself evidence of our government's belief and awareness of the potential of research and innovation. The government is very aware of the crucial role that research and innovation plays in our economic growth and our people's quality of life, as underlined even by the recently published post COVID strategy. And that is exactly why we applaud and encourage the initiatives as the one we're making today, because such collaborations aim at supporting and motivating researchers and stimulating further research and innovation. We are working tirelessly to promote the STEM areas among our youth, finding innovative ways to elicit their interest and engagement with the subjects, and above all, offering employment opportunities in these areas. And this brings me to this very moment, marking the opening of this Grants Week, an unmissable opportunity for researchers to learn about the grants and funding opportunities available to them on a national and a European level. Throughout this week, training sessions for writing proposals will be held with a special focus on Horizon Europe, and researchers will be briefed in detail about the Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions, the European Research Council, Cost Action, and Erasmus Plus, in an effort to help and support researchers who are seeking funding for their research projects to become reality. This is your opportunity to express your ideas and obtain the necessary funding that will enable you to advance in your studies, in your careers as researchers, and unlim- ultimately contribute, forgive me, it's a Monday morning, ultimately contribute to innovative solutions we all benefit from. I have to thank the Research Support Services Directorate within the University of Malta for inviting me to this event celebrating collaboration and sharing of knowledge between various entities and European universities, and also for organizing this Grants Week, which is also supported by the Malta Council for Science and Technology, the CEU Consortium, and the European Commission. I am confident this intricate, remarkable teamwork will bear fruit and serve to actualize research projects with immeasurable potential, endeavors that would have been impossible to undertake single handedly. May this week be an enriching learning experience to all those involved. I genuinely wish you every success in your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you for this very, very heartwarming speech. And now the floor goes to Professor Saider Zamit, Prorector for Research and Innovation at the University of Malta.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Minister Bonnici, distinguished guests, colleagues, it is my pleasure to welcome you today to the University of Malta Grants Week. Maybe somebody can manipulate it. Yep, it's working now. Great. So, thank you once again. The structure of my presentation today is as follows. I'll first present some background with respect to research at the University of Malta and the structures that we have built over the years to support research. Then I'll speak a bit about the research funding that we have access to talk about our research strategy, and then focus on research clusters that come out of our research strategy before concluding by presenting some challenges that we are facing and also solutions to those challenges. The mission statement of the University of Malta clearly entrenches research as one of the main three pillars that we focus on, these being teaching and learning, research, and outreach. In order for the university to carry out its mission of research, we have enacted a number of structures. First of all, there is the rectorate, consisting of the rector, the pro-rector of research and innovation, and a number of other pro-rectors. We have also set up the Research Support Services Directorate, which is a one-stop shop for supporting our academics in identifying and applying for grants. The RSSD also provide a horizontal lab support function such that we can carry out our research in the latest laboratories, fully funded and provisioned. We also have Minister a project support office that is there to support our academics in the pre-award phase, but most importantly in the post-award phase once we obtain grants. They help us manage our funds, they help us engage researchers and procure equipment. We also have a corporate research and knowledge transfer office. This supports academics in identifying their intellectual property, to protect it and also to exploit it. An important function of the knowledge transfer office is that of industry-academia collaboration, so that the research that is developed in our labs is shared with the wider Maltese economy. Obviously, the main support structures support our academics, and these are the faculties and the departments within those faculties, our institute, centers, and schools. We call them FDICs. The FDICs provide us with academics and PhD students, but also they provide us with the space that is required for us to conduct research, mainly our infrastructure. Another entity at the University of Malta is the doctoral school. The doctoral school was set up to support our PhD students whilst they are conducting their research studies at the University of Malta, and it mainly provides them with professional development of transferable skills. The doctoral school does not go into the technical academia, but rather it provides them with the techniques such as presentation skills and other transferable skills. Another important function is that of research ethics, and the University of Malta has set up the UREC, which is a committee that looks at the research that is proposed by our academics and makes certain that it is according to all the regulations, including GDPR. Besides these units, we have a number of directorates that are crucial at the University of Malta, and these are the finance office, HR office, procurement office, the legal office, international office, and also estate and works. The latter provide us with lab space and space for our RSOs when we do not find space. So they are tasked with helping us there. Let's talk now a bit about the funding at the University of Malta. In 2019-2020, the University of Malta had a research budget of approximately 101 million euros. This excludes the budget for the junior college. Of these approximately 100 million euros, 43 million of them go to pay our resident academics, assistant lecturers, senior lecturers, associate professors, and professors. Now, considering that when we sign our contracts, it stipulates that we have to spend 1/3 of our time in research. This means that the state is contributing around 14.3 million euros by way of array salaries towards research. But beside those, we also engage research support officers and all the salaries that go behind RSSD, knowledge transfer office, etc. And these amount to 4.7 million euros. Besides these budgeted funds, the University of Malta academics, with the help of the RSSD, apply for additional external research grants. From the local scene, we attract around 3.8 million euros per annum. And in 2019-2020, in that year, we actually obtained exactly 3.8 million euros. By way of international funding, in the same year, we attracted 4.4 million euros. These add to another 500,000 euros provided from the UN budget, which we give to our academics as research seed funds. Around 200 apply per annum. So we disburse around 2 to 2.5K to those 200 researchers. We also have 4 projects that we disburse as research excellence funds. So 600K by 4. Recently, the government has started providing us with direct funding for research. And in the year 2019 to 2020, the special line item in our budget was 600K. As I shall point out later on this year, this has doubled to 1.2 million euros. So by way of local funds, the University of Malta itself now has around 2 million euros to disburse per annum. Added to this, we have a plethora of funds made available by the Malta Council for Science and Technology. There are funds like the Fusion Funds, the Commercialization Voucher Project, the Technology, the Development Project, the Prima Funds, the Space Fund, the Sino Malta Fund, Internationalization Funds, and recently the Research Excellence Funds as well. These amount to more than 2-3 million euros per annum. In addition to this, the University of Malta applies for significant ERDF funding, structural funds, and currently we are building 2 clusters. The trach cluster, which has been funded to the tune of 36 million euros. The sustainable living complex, which has attracted 48 million euros. And beside these, our academics also win their fair share of Interreg Europe grants. Besides these local funds, we also apply for international funds. In the past, we used to apply for Horizon 2020. Now we have moved on to the next programming period, and we are now applying for Horizon Europe funding. And today is Horizon Europe funding day. So soon, our academics, our guests, will be informed about how to apply for these funds. In addition to that, we also apply for Marie Skłodowska-Curie awards, ERC grants, which are extremely prestigious and can award single PIs, principal investigators, up to 3-4 million euros for themselves and their teams. COST is another funding body that we have tapped into extremely successfully, and it is my pleasure to announce that the main principal scientific officer for the next period is actually Maltese. And Professor Molestanio, I would like to wish him well and best of luck in this new role. We also apply for Erasmus Plus funds, and these help us in our research endeavors as well, although they are not exactly research oriented, maybe. The University of Malta, around about 2018-2019, produced a strategic plan for the period 2020 to 2025. This strategic plan looked at a number of themes. So there were 8 themes, the first one being learning and teaching, the second being research and knowledge transfer, so social factors and their impact on society, enterprise and industrial impact, national impact, international outlook, sustainability, and services and administrative supports. Team 8 was included because the other main target teams obviously cannot happen without the services and the administrative support provided by the different directorates within the University of Malta. These are essential for our research plans. Focusing now on research and knowledge transfer, we identified a number of strategic objectives. Our main objective is that of promoting world-class research. And we have been approaching this at the University of Malta in 3 ways. First of all, we are applying for international and local funds based on the merit of our research. So there the basis is research excellence. Secondly, the rectorate has been pushing government to increase local funding. And I have to say that we have been successful in that respect, mainly because of the Malta Council for Science and Technology and their peer review process that happened a couple of years ago, through which a number of things have happened. First of all, for the first time ever, the government has set up a Ministry for Research and Innovation, as you know. And also, there is a palpable increase in funding that we are experiencing, I think, based on this peer review process. The third process that we have used to promote world-class research is that of our academics approaching government departments, inquiring whether the departments would like to team up with the University of Malta to conduct their research. And I'm pleased to say that we have raised more than 3 million euros in this manner. Why do we do research at the University of Malta? Because of 2 things. First of all, our mission is to train researchers. So like we train engineers, doctors, lawyers, architects, etc., we have to also train researchers. So that's the primary aim. But also, in so doing, we support the rankings of the University of Malta. If we are to be more successful in research, we have to attract the best researchers to Malta. And the best researchers will come to Malta only if our rankings are high. In supporting our rankings, we also do Malta a service because we show that we have a strong educational system and a strong economy as well. I've already spoken about funding. Funding is of extreme importance. In Malta, currently, we are slowly improving from a situation where only 20% of funds were local funds. Now we are moving towards a situation where the mix is around 50-50. There is still some way to go, because in more developed countries, research-wise, 80% of the funds come from local funds and only 20% come from international funding. So we have still some way to go there. Our mission objective is also to expand corporate research and knowledge transfer. This is of the essence because we want the research at the University of Malta to percolate out to industry, to government as well, and we do this through knowledge transfer and outreach, which is the fifth point. We do conduct research, but we must not leave it within the University of Malta, and we have to communicate it so that the people know what the government is investing in after all. That is of the essence. When we conduct our research, we have to conduct research in a manner which is responsible to the country, economy, environment, and we have to do this in a way which is ethical and which has integrity. So one objective is for us to strengthen those bodies that ensure that we conduct our research ethically and with integrity. There can be no research without researchers. So one of our focuses is on improving the lot of our researchers. And this does not include only our resident academics, but also research support officers. The University of Malta employs RSOs in 4 levels, RSO 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first level is that of an undergraduate who has a degree and he wants to help support the University of Malta in conducting research. RSO 2 would be somebody holding a master's degree, and she or he can also pursue a PhD at the same time. So this would be the equivalent of a studentship. An RSO 3 is somebody who already has a PhD, so that's a postdoc, the first level of a postdoc. Whereas RSO 4 is reserved for postdocs who have a significant amount of experience. We pay RSO 1s to RSO 4s significant funding, 20, 25, 30, and 35,000 euros per annum. So you can understand that this is a costly exercise as well. We currently employ something like 220 RSOs, Minister. Multiply that by an average of 25,000, and you can figure out what the bill is. And we are still a bit far from our targets. Whilst we petition the government to provide us with more funds, we want to give assurances to government that we make good use of these funds. So we have come up with the concept of research clusters that we are currently setting up so that we focus our research in areas that are of importance to Malta, the region, and globally as well. It doesn't mean that we're only going to conduct research which is Maltese, in inverted commas. If we target diabetes, for example, we are target an ailment which afflicts many Maltese, unfortunately. But if one of our academics comes up with a cure for diabetes, that will obviously have regional and global significance as well. Focusing a bit on research clusters, this one slide, the government of Malta is this year making available 1.2 million euros per annum. We have been promised that this will remain as a budget line. It is important because we are funding research clusters by enticing them to produce a 3-year business plan. So once we accept a cluster, this means that the funding has to remain in place for at least 3 years. We are going to use the 1.2 million euros, increasing them to 1.4 million euros this year in order to set up 14 different clusters. And we are going to we have invited our faculties to promote one research cluster per faculty. The research clusters have to be multidisciplinary. They have to involve the departments from a number of different faculties, not just from one faculty, and they have also to include institutes and centers and schools. In the future, this limitation of one cluster per faculty will disappear, and we will invite all academics with good ideas for clusters to approach us with their applications. We will monitor clusters, and non-performing clusters will be wound down and replaced by other clusters. Finally, I have to identify some challenges and the solutions for these challenges. As I have explained, the level of national funding in Malta has remained low for some time, but this is being addressed. Government has set up the ministry, which I'm sure is working hard to redress this imbalance. Also, in this area, we find the support of Malta Enterprise and the government of Malta in general. The funds that are being given to us will be deployed through research clusters so that we make certain that we use these funds cleverly and intelligently. We also note that the funding through the Malta Council for Science and Technology is increasing year on year, and this is helping us as well. Malta Enterprise is helping us with industry-academia collaboration, and we hope there to create the equivalents of knowledge transfer partnership or knowledge transfer fellowships, where the government would help industry directly, government would help fund PhD level researchers, and the University of Malta would collaborate with these PhD students in order to transfer our knowledge out to industry. The University of Malta is also intent on applying for new calls for structural funds like the ones for TRACE and the Sustainable Living Complex. And we have already indicated to government the areas in which we would like to invest next. From an HR perspective, we are facing a number of challenges. The RSSD is in constant need of very high quality research project managers. We recently lost 50% of our RPMs, but on Friday, this Friday, we have identified a very good crop of replacements, and we are going to engage these immediately, hopefully today, starting today. Also, the project support officers that support the pre and post-award, there we are facing challenges as well. A PSO supports typically 10 projects at the same time. And if we lose 1, 2, or 3 out of 30, 40 that we have, that has a significant impact on our processing of post-award processes. Last but not least, we are facing problems, challenges to attract research support officers. These are crucial to us because they help us conduct the research, supporting our academics in the process. COVID has had an impact because many of our markets where we can attract very high quality RSOs currently prohibit the people from traveling. For example, India, Iran. These countries, when we engage RSOs from these countries, we find that invariably they will not be given a visa nor a work permit. And here maybe the minister can help us in convincing your colleagues in order to relax a bit certain level of employment. Most of these would already have PhDs, so I think they behave very carefully when it comes to COVID-related things. Finally, we have pressure on us, on space. Where do you place these people, these hundreds of people? But luckily, even there, we are seeing the likes of new buildings going up. The TRAIC is a complex, sustainable living complex, a number of buildings. We've purchased the blue building. We're developing that. And this should relieve some of the pressure by moving our administrative staff under one wing. The campus hub will not just have residences for our students, but it can also house RSOs. It also contains spaces for our academic units. Finally, the sports complex is also being built, and the sports complex, it will have a 100-meter laboratory which will be under the stairs, and there we can conduct research in sports. So very soon we'll have one of the best facilities in Europe in that respect, and we are working with the likes of Loughborough so that we have the best equipment there. So that is one thing that we should also look out for. I think I've spoken more than my allotted 15 minutes. I do apologize. I wanted to take this opportunity, Minister, to succinctly tell you what we are doing at the University of Malta. I'm sure that you see that you'll find us behind you in order to take the research agenda to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Zammit, for that very, very detailed overview of the University of Malta. And now the next speaker is not with us physically today because he is in Canada at the moment, but he has kindly sent us a video with his introductory speech. So the next up is Professor Godfrey Baldacchino, who is the representative on the CEU project and the outgoing prorector.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Godfrey Baldacchino. I'm the outgoing prorector of international development at the University of Malta and the rector's delegate for the coordination of the CEU project. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to this staff week, focusing on grant applications. In fact, we're calling it Grant Week for obvious reasons. It's a great opportunity to have people in the know who can guide academics in particular as to the mechanics and the procedure involved to apply for both national but also European funding, regional funding, to support projects. We're hoping that this initiative will facilitate more collaboration between the partners of the European universities. We are already taking a huge number of initiatives on various fronts to facilitate working together. And these include joint degrees, various courses, talks, conferences, research projects, and so on. So we hope that with this initiative, people will develop a better understanding of what is involved to apply for some of the most rigorous, but also challenging and satisfying research opportunities available to us now, members of European universities, and of course, universities trying to navigate the challenges of the 21st century. I hope you'll find the session very interesting. I'm recording this introduction from the top of the Red Tower in the north of Malta. As you can see, it commands very impressive views of the north of the island, and practically all around me you can see the sea. It's one of the girdles of our society. It's the aquatic cordon that surrounds us and in a way shapes us and gives us our identity as Maltese. So by all means, do enjoy this Grant Week, and I hope you'll find it very productive and useful. Thank you so very much.